Stage 1, pressing for flight. Launch reactor on countdown 1. We are go for launch.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear. Clear. The clock has started. The clock has started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to Pressing for Flight, live from the Space Coast, where the schedule never holds. I'm your host, the hostess with the mostest, Stephen Marr. Let me click on my face. Hey, so y'all can see me. Hi. Now you'll never see me again. To my left, we have writer and friend of Next Horizon Spaceflight, Matthew Jordan. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing great.
We don't have our sound effects guy this week. Matthew is here in place of Kegel, as you may have noticed. Kegel is not here. He's on the road somewhere. Where did he say he was going?
He's going to Savannah.
Savannah.
Nice
That voice you hear.
Little love getaway with his lady.
That voice you hear right there, that's the beautiful Matt Cutshaw.
Oh, you're too much.
And our guest for the evening, streamer, Space Coast local, space enthusiast, photographer, port stalker, all around great guy. You know him. Welcome aboard, Jon Van Horne.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Steve. Do appreciate it. I just try to stock everything in port, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you do a great job, man. It's always awesome to see you out there. It feels like, I don't know, sometimes we miss each other. Oh, the other thing.
Just miss each other.
The other thing I meant to say when I was introducing you is the man that holds the record for most times mistaken for me.
Yes.
And vice versa. Right?
Hashtag not Space Coast Steve.
Yeah, and I'm hashtag not Jon Van Horne. So on the left side of the screen, I do have the OneWeb launch rolling. Of course, that's not a Space Coast thing, but it launched from Baikonur, correct? Yes, it was on a Soyuz.
Yes.
Now, one thing that I was finding out like shortly before the show is that I guess the launch was actually managed by Arianespace.
Mm-hmm.
Is that so?
Yep.
Which is weird.
I didn't know anybody did that. I guess it's normal, but they don't necessarily always launch their own rocket.
No, I think it was because of the payload, because it was a OneWeb.
Mm-hmm.
What was the payload?
Right.
And I think they have their hands on that. Now, so what's really interesting about this launch was, yes, it's a Russian launch. One really cool thing about the way they do launches over there compares to how I wish we would do them here is you could be within 1 mile of the launch pad when it's actually launching. 1 mile. So Eric Berger, he was with 1 mile videoing that launch. 1 mile. And after it launches, within 10 minutes, if that, they go to the pad to check out everything.
I was noticing Chris B was tweeting about that. It was like they wait to the last possible minute to leave the pad, and then they're right back to the pad, as soon as it launches.
They waste no time whatsoever. Can you imagine laying remotes for that launch?
Oh, yeah. It's like fueling up, and you're out there setting your camera.
You just get your stuff right away, be like, all right, what do I got,
All right, you've got about a minute and a half to get everything set up. We're going off in a minute and 15 seconds.
Right?
Yeah, like you legit have no time left, and you got to go. The bus is leaving, y'all.
Get to your 1 mile away position.
Hey,
setting up.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I didn't want to miss our opportunity to let you kind of talk about what you do, because you are a streamer, so you're on Twitch, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Give out your channel and all that good stuff.
I'm on. Jon Van Horne. That is actually my Twitch channel name is JonVanHorne. I don't spell John with an H, so it's JON, and some people still tend to throw that H in there. So no, I'm not the toilet. Haha.
How long have you been streaming over there?
I've been streaming. I hit gaming streaming for I'd say 6 years. 2014ish. I want to 2014ish. I'd say it was 2013 would have been my first stream on my very old MacBook Pro that was already 6 years old and took forever to start up.
Yeah.
And I tried that first, and I was just like, I need to get a new computer. Finally did. Got into the gaming scene. That was fun. That was awesome. I learned a lot from a lot of different streamers, a lot of top streamers, all in the gaming, right? Nothing going remote or mobile or taking it out to like launches and stuff. And I was just like, and then just recently, after moving back here from Canada, being up there for 14 years, I decided to, let's revamp my branding on Twitch and everything, and just be me, basically. So yeah, I started off as a gamer. I also did a YouTube channel for a while for very what was it, like very intermediate learn about the game kind of intros and stuff. So it was very simple because I wasn't pro, so I didn't want to be like saying stuff that was just like way out of whack.
Yeah. Oh, kind of like us. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like everything is couched in I think this is how it works. Go ask Scott Manley.
So I stuck with the basics, and it worked for me there. And Twitch was nice enough to offer me affiliate after after they started offering the affiliate program. I think I got it within like 3 or 4 months for my gaming.
Oh, nice.
So now, so that was good. So now, of course, moving to the whole mobile app streaming stuff, that's challenging. That is actually very challenging. There's a lot of different settings that you got to stick into that. So yeah, it is. It's been challenging because I've tried 3 different apps. I've tried straight from the Twitch app. I've tried straight from the Streamlabs app, and they all have their certain click, I guess, or whatever. And of course, depending on where you're at, depends on where where your coverage is.
Yeah,
of course,
how good your signal is, if you're even going to be able to stream.
Exactly. So fingers crossed, wherever you plan on going for a launch, you've got full bars and stuff. So I mean, I've been doing it for 6 years now, and moving it here to the Space Coast to pick up some launches, and soon to get some more footage for hopefully SCLA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what games do you stream?
I originally started off on World of Warcraft, of course. It was the World of War crack, basically. I've been playing it since the beginning, since November 2004. So very, very long time. Now I've moved on to Overwatch because I was initially... I love gaming. What can I say? I've been a gamer since I could hold the Atari 2600 single button joystick deal.
You ever play Rocket League?
So no, I did not play.
I haven't played Rocket League.
No, I haven't.
It's like the only one I play. It's the only game I play, really.
Oh, so first person shooter was my thing.
Yeah.
So the sports I veered away from because my brother always kicked my butt in sports games.
Like Madden and stuff like that.
Yeah, like Madden or MLB or NBA. It didn't matter. He always. So I was just like, you know what? I'm done with sports games.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So mainly now it's just like Overwatch on my off days or when there's not a launch, and every once in a while, and Crystal will come and join every so often. So
I really like that idea of like, you draw in an audience because of your gaming, but then you get to introduce them to the space stuff. I think Wayward kind of does something like that, right? Isn't that kind of what she does? Like, because she streams, right?
she does stream. She plays, I believe, Stardew Valley, which was a huge indie game hit. Like everybody was talking about it. People started playing it, and it just trickled up. It wasn't like a big bang hit right off the bat. Like there wasn't so much hype for it leading up to it, and then it came out, and people were like, "Hey, let's try Stardew Valley," and people just got hooked.
Yeah.
So yeah, she does that. She streams that, and she runs, of course, launch rats and stuff.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's a great idea to help expand the demographic of rocket launches as well and stuff. And I always have people on Facebook or on Twitter being like, "Hey," every once in a while, I was like, "By the way, I do watch your stuff. The rockets are really cool." Yada yada.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it's good.
It's kind of like,
That's awesome.
any way you can do it, like it's kind of like evangelism.
Let me tell you about our Lord and Savior Elon Musk.
Well, I mean, the Planetary Society does have someone, Emily Lakdawala. Her title is Space Evangelist.
Oh, is really?
Oh, really?
Yes, that is her title in the company.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Emily is awesome. I've followed this Planetary Society. Well, I listened to their podcast for years. Like, I'm not always on the website or anything like that, but the Planetary radio, and she's on there a lot, and I really like her. The other day, she did tweet that she was aggressively not watching the Starlink launch. I was like, what?
Aggressively not watching.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
She's not a fan as an astronomer.
Right. Yeah. I got it. And I was like, man, it's because pretty much everyone else that I'd heard gripe about it were like people I either didn't know or maybe I'd heard of, but didn't have a built-in respect for it. But then when I saw her say that, I was like, man, like I'm definitely one to consider other points of view, especially, from someone that has a good track record already. And I'm like, man, is this really a problem, or, is there something we're not getting? Because I was under the impression that once they got up higher, because they're not deployed in their ultimate altitude, they're
Right.
deployed much lower than what their ultimate altitude will be.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know enough myself, but one of the arguments I've seen people make is that when once they reach their final altitude, they'll be a lot less visible. And I understand that the telescopes are going to pick up a lot more than what we can see, because we see that the train. If you're lucky, you can see the train, but you can't. Like once they're spread out, it's not like you're just seeing Starlink satellites everywhere. But at the same time, I also recognize that their telescopes are much more sensitive than our eyes. But what I would love to hear or read, a podcast or an article of someone that really understands both sides, that could break it down. Give me all the facts, or it might be that we have to wait until it's like more of them are up there. They've got 240 up there now, unless we don't. I'm not sure if any have deorbited yet, but they've launched 240 of them. 242 if you count 1010A and B.
Yeah. The thing I find with Starlink and the astronomers now, I like to keep a analytical thought and put myself in other people's shoes as well. Like, okay, love the astronomers. They're doing great work. I've just actually been watching, what's the name of that show? Learn Our Universe, or something to know our universe. I can't remember. It's on Netflix. It's an amazing documentary. It's about like how the universe and galaxies. Anyway, there's a lot of astronomers on there. And also I've noticed that when the Starlink launches have gone up, I've heard a lot of complaints about it after it's recently launched.
Right.
But after it's been up for like a month or 2 months, you don't hear about it. Like you don't hear
these complaints. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, they're probably not catching them anymore and stuff like that. So, but I completely agree with you. I'd love to get an article or a video of
podcast would be excellent. I wish
podcast would be great.
Yeah.
I would also like
stating both sides.
I would also like to see the results of the experiment they were doing with the darker colored paint on the satellites.
Right. Well, they did it on one of the Starlink satellites, but I don't think anybody's really seen You know, I don't know if anybody's even gotten like a photo of them. You know, like you know, a long exposure photo would do the trick. You know, of the train, you know, sufficiently spread apart so that you can, you know, see if there's a difference in one of them. You know, I don't know if it'd be a huge difference, but you know, the fact that they're still, you know, much lower to the earth, and then I've read something about the way their solar panels are turned is not the way they're going to be turned when they're finally deployed, and they're not going to be as reflective because they, you know, the angle of the sun or something. I don't know. We're talking like weeks ago, so I may just be pulling that out of my behind. And I also am very aware of what is the term, conformational bias and motivated reasoning, and I really want Starlink to succeed for multiple reasons. You know, one, because I'd like to ditch cable internet and have a better experience. In fact, I don't know if you guys read up on. Actually, I'll just go ahead and jump to it here because we have a Bloomberg article about how they might go public, which I would totally buy some shares.
Oh, yeah.
Been doing very well on my Virgin Galactic stocks. I've got 17 of those, and I'm definitely in the positive. I've not doubled my money yet, but I'm pretty close to it. But yeah, if you could get in on the ground floor with the Starlink IPO, I don't know how much they would be when they first come out, but Virgin Galactic was like $10 a share when it first came out.
Really?
Yeah, and then it dropped down to like $7 a share, and now it's at like 18.
Nice.
But anyway, in this Bloomberg article, they reference some things that that Gwen Shotwell said. Okay, yeah, she said the service will be. It'll be less than what you're paying now for about 5 to 10 times the speed that you were getting.
Oh, wow.
Did you catch that?
Mm-hmm.
That was right on top of that vape hit. Yeah. So you, and this is actually kind of news to me because it's been kind of a question like, how much is it going to be? Is it going to be about the same as cable internet or a little bit more or whatever? But she's saying less. You're going to pay less. And it's going to be faster. I don't know.
What I kind of was hoping, okay, all good businesses have return customers, and I get putting a service price on something. What I have my fingers crossed for is that it's a one-time payment access fee. It might be pretty pricey, and you might be able to put installment plans on it, but I have a feeling that's what I kind of was hoping,
like just to have service, like one time you pay one time like and you have service forever.
One time and you got service forever, because that's what he's also moving towards, right? He's moving to a sustainable life, sustainable energy, something that renews itself, that you don't have to continue to pay for. Hence, other than energy, but I mean, of course, you've got FPL, you've got all the power companies that are still going to charge you to charge your Tesla, you know. So, but that's just something that's been sitting in the back of my head. I'm just going way out into like left field with it, but
I doubt it. That would be awesome, but the thing, but they're going to have to continue to put up more satellites, you know, because as they upgrade them and as they reach their end of life, these things are only expected to last like 10 years, and then they come back.
So they would have to continue doing that, considering that, you know, Elon states here in an article that in May told reporters that Starlink could bring in a revenue of $30 billion a year, right? So 10 times the highest annual revenue it expects from its core rocket business, which is amazing. So.
And that's the other reason. I said there are multiple reasons, because the other reason is I want them to be able to fund Starship and fund, you know, their moon plans, their Mars plans, be able to do all of that, you know. So like I love both the science and this side of it, you know, the Starlink side. You know, I don't want the astronomers to have a bad time getting their observations and stuff. Hopefully, which is an argument that I hear mentioned, but you can't prove it yet. But one of the arguments is, well, if this is successful and they manage to get Starlink operation or Starship operational, then launch will be so cheap, and all you got to do is build a space telescope, and you'll be able to get that space telescope up there next to nothing. Right. So you can move all of your astronomy off planet. But that's that's one of those arguments. It's like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that. You can't. The astronomers are arguing in the now. Like right now, it's messing up our observations, and it's a real impact. It's time. It takes more time to try to get the satellites out of those images and stuff. It costs more money because of that, and so they're able to take fewer observations. So I'm sure it's a real headache for them, and that's probably why they're being so vocal about it.
Yeah. No, that's.
I just don't know. It's like I want these things to work. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, absolutely want it to work, and I've seen some images from astronomers. I think they were closer to the actual launch date, and the satellites weren't in the location they were going to be once they're operational. But I've seen some images where those images were totally destroyed by the satellites, and there's like these light streaks right through the images. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I know it's a bummer now, and maybe at some point someone will figure out some algorithm that can just remove them from images. I mean, seems like that's something we could do, but in the meantime, it is making it hard on them. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to hear more about what SpaceX supposedly is working with the astronomy community to try to get on the same page at least.
Yeah, see, at least they're trying to do that. At least they're trying to understand the reason behind the complaints. Some companies would just be like, okay, whatever, that's your problem, not ours. We're going to do what we need to do. At least, Elon and SpaceX is like, hey, we say that there's an issue. We're going to go ahead and try to see what we could do to try to work with you guys to try to fix this issue. Mm-hmm. That's very in my role, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And I wonder if we're going to hear similar things about OneWeb now that they just launched 34 more satellites. Although now that I'm saying that, I think that OneWeb is intending to have a higher orbit. So they're going to be even further away than the lower. Not all Starlink satellites are going to be at the same altitude, I don't think. But if I remember right, when articles were coming out about the differences between OneWeb and Starlink, it's OneWeb operates in a higher orbit. So they're going to be even further away.
And they're actually made here too. They're made here locally.
But it kind of comes down to it's one of those advancements that is kind of, to me, seems like a no-brainer that it's something we will do. Humans are gonna put a bunch of satellites up there, and we're gonna use it for internet, for broadcasting internet. It's like you had to have seen this coming. That doesn't make it any easier on the astronomers that are trying to do this work. But I think my hope is that the astronomers don't necessarily want to shut it down, because it's kind of an inevitability, and it's not an evil inevitability. Like if this was horrible, this is actually good for the environment. We don't have to run lines to have our internet anymore. If we could figure out how to do electricity that way, that'd be great. But, if we could stop running lines for internet, well, that's just a little bit better, I think. I guess it'd probably follow the same corridors as the power anyway. But
yeah, it'll open up doors for other things to be putting to the ground, like possibly construction or habitats or geothermic energy and stuff to be using, rather than trying to exactly run cable lines and Ethernet lines and stuff like that, because that's taken up a lot of underground mining and excavations.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Before we moved away from OneWeb, I had this animation. Actually, Chris B grabbed it off of the broadcast. Actually, I couldn't find it in the broadcast, so I'm not really clear on where he got this. I don't know if he's got a special stream he was watching, but here, I'll share my screen. But I thought it would be a neat learning experience for some of the uninitiated. But this animation where it's showing the last 4 satellites being deployed here, I just think it's interesting that they all have to deploy at the same time. And does everybody know why that is? Why they deploy in this way? And some of the not Starlink, but some of the other satellites where SpaceX has deployed a bunch at one time. I think Orbcomm might have been that way. They would do if not like 4 at once on all 4 sides, they would do like 2 from opposite sides. You know why?
No idea.
It's because if you were to deploy just one, that deployment would push your spacecraft back to the left because equal and opposite reaction, right? That whole thing.
Mm.
So the act of pushing that satellite away from the deployment mechanism would also push back on the deployment mechanism, then thereby pushing the deployment mechanism off of where it needs to be. So if you have 2 deployments happening opposite of each other, then that push is canceled out. So the deployment module or whatever, it doesn't get pushed off of its trajectory, right?
Makes complete sense.
I think
100% sense. Right
yeah,
there.
like absolutely. Like, oh, you're geniuses. Okay, I get it. This is rocket science. Okay,
That's pretty wild.
Pretty much.
Way to go, guys. You figured it out. You're 1 in a million.
Hello, Becca Penland.
Oh,
by the way.
that is the Becca. That is the Becca that we have told you about. She will be back soon and very soon. What is she doing down here? She's gonna be making pizza. She's probably doing like closing duties. Yeah, I told everybody that you're gonna be back in 2 weeks.
You're gonna
Exactly 2
call
weeks.
for, like,
Read my fingers. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
we're giving you a deadline.
Yeah, your phone's gonna ring in 5 minutes saying, "I got 4 orders for you."
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so we're definitely missing Becca. She'll be back, y'all. She'll be back. That's why her name is still down here. Y'all, actually, how about this? Anybody that watches this, if you're watching live right now, just go follow Game Master Becca on Twitter and bug her until she's back on the show. There's not much more she could be doing to make it happen, but I just think I think that would be fun. Let's see, what else we got? Well, we've got a very important launch coming up this weekend.
Oh yeah.
And what day is it, Matt?
Oh, yeah.
What is it, Matt Jordan? What day is it on?
That will be on Sunday the 9th.
If you just so happen to read the Next Horizons article about it, you may have noticed the wrong day, but that's okay. We fixed it in short order. We had the right date and the wrong day of the week, right?
Yeah, I totally flubbed on that one, guys.
That's not a big deal.
It's been a long week, man.
It's really not a big deal.
That's
That's the beauty of editing. You can't edit tweets, but you can edit articles.
That's right. And it's amazing how people quickly jump on that to correct you.
Oh yeah.
In this community.
Oh no!
yeah.
Yeah, luckily, I don't think anybody did.
No.
No, we caught that before anybody else had read it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Or so we hope. But you're right. Yeah, I mean, and I always try to take it in stride because I'm kind of the same way. Like, actually, Becca, she jokes that I hate to see someone struggle. Well, I hate to see someone be wrong and them not know it. I'm like, don't you want to know that you're wrong? And it's like sometimes people don't.
It's like if someone has something in their teeth,
Exactly.
you want to let them know, but you want to say it with some kind of coof.
Right.
We tried that yesterday and it backfired big time. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we won't go into that.
That was a disaster,
Yeah.
man.
See, unless I've met the person like in person or whatever, I'm still reluctant to even mention that online. Unless it's to some certain people, I will go ahead and be like, "Yeah, you're totally wrong about that." But
Yeah.
it's very I'm very reluctant to that because you don't know how they're going to react. You don't know, and you know what? I don't have time for that. I don't have time to argue with stupid.
Sometimes it becomes a one-sided argument, and you just can't get a word in.
Exactly.
You just gotta ignore the whole conversation.
You just
You're
have
just
to
like,
ignore
"Are you done yet?"
Yeah.
I was done 5 paragraphs ago. But yeah, let's talk about Solar Orbiter. It's launching. What is the window? I've been telling everybody 11-ish because I know it's like a 2-hour window, right?
It's like a level.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour window. Opens at 11:03 p.m.
And it goes up and through to 125.
Yeah, something
That
like
it?
that.
I think that's what it was. That was the last one that I saw. So, yeah, excited for the orbiter for sure.
Take it away, Matt.
So, Solar Orbiter, pretty interesting, exciting mission. They're going to be launching this guy Sunday, and it's going to be heading out into a heliocentric orbit. It's going to take 3.5 years to get into its orbital plane that it's going to be going into. And it's actually going to be in a plane that is highly inclined to the ecliptic. So it'll be going higher, like say where we are now in the ecliptic, all the planets are kind of lined up.
Pretty much, yeah.
It'll be going higher and it'll be going lower as it goes around the sun.
Right. And I do have, by the way, I have the animation of its orbit plane over here. I'll show you what's going on over here so you know that there's a little bit of assistance going on with this animation.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
it does. Definitely has that assistance going on. It's going to fly past the Earth a couple of times. It's going to fly past Venus a couple of times, and that's how it's going to get into the orbit that is inclined to the ecliptic. It's going to be inclined at 25 degrees to the ecliptic in its standard mission orbit. And once the mission is ongoing, it's a 3.5-year mission after it gets there. So 7 years total.
How long until they can start doing science? Do you remember?
The science is at 3.5 years, and they're going to be running checkouts. They will get some data, especially from their in situ instrumentation. Information on solar wind and the magnetosphere specifically of the sun. The interesting things about this one, it'll be the first time that a probe will be able to take pictures of the solar north and south poles.
Right. In fact, if I scroll down here, they have they made this, like, this isn't a real shot of the North Pole, but it's kind of, they, I guess, extrapolated from some images using the Proba 2 probe.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder if this image almost implies that, like, it's going to be darker a little bit. I mean, I'm sure it's an exposure thing, and obviously, you know, even the sunspots, even though they look black in pictures, they're not black. They're still really bright. But I wonder if they're thinking it's going to be, like, cooler at the North or South Pole. I don't know. That might be a really dumb thing to say, but I don't know much about the sun.
I don't know if that's an exposure thing. I guess we won't really know until it gets up there and gets us some photographic evidence back, honestly. Other things it's looking at the thing that drives the sun's magnetic sphere around it, the magnetosphere. So basically, they want to study what's called the solar dynamo, what actually drives the sun. And the big thing about this, and the thing that's going to make the most sense to us and might actually impact our everyday lives, is how does the solar weather affect the Earth? How does it impact the Earth? What happens in the atmosphere before these massive solar flares come off of the sun?
Right. Yeah, like, because the more we rely on, like, satellites and stuff, which, you know, we're already pretty dang reliant. I don't know if you knew, but
Oh, yeah.
I know y'all know, but out there in the internet world, we are very reliant on satellites. And if they're,
I believe the figure is that if we were to have the kind of solar flare that hit in, say, the Carrington event, which happened in 1859, that event was so massive that it actually set telegraph lines on fire. Like, it was a massive event. It was the largest solar event ever recorded. So if we had something happen like that to us today, it would take about 20 years and probably $30-40 trillion to come back from that.
Oh, man. Yeah. And what's our warning system like with solar flares right now? Like, how much warning could we possibly have right now? Isn't it measured in, like, minutes?
8 minutes.
Well, I mean, 8 minutes, yes. We do get some.
I mean, the solar flares themselves don't happen at the speed of light, right? Like, we can.
No, the plasma slows as it comes off of the sun, like the actual plasma that comes off of the sun. With the systems that we currently have in place, I think it's somewhere in the range of like 1 or 2 days. They're thinking that with stuff like Parker Solar Probe and some of these other major solar missions that are going to actually just look at solar weather, we might be able to get a 2 or 3 day notice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but even with a 2 or 3 day notice, what can we really do to protect ourselves from something like that?
get in bunkers and
Well, I think
stick your head in the
humans
sand.
are fine, right? Aren't like meat bags are okay with a solar flare, right? I thought it was
No,
just electronics that are affected.
Right.
depending on the size of it, but the atmosphere of the Earth protects us mainly from that, right? From a lot of the sun's radiation. But also, isn't this also going to help determine some data on the solar flares as well for traveling in space?
Oh, absolutely. The big thing right now is space travel. What's going to happen if we're on our way to Mars and a solar flare happens?
Right.
They want to kind of extrapolate that information out into, we're going to be a multiplanetary species within the next 100 years. How is this stuff going to affect us at that point?
Yeah, we're gonna have to have like multi-day forecasts of the sun, and reliable, just like we have with weather now. We'll have to, because otherwise,
L4 for the sun.
weather's not that reliable, Joseph.
well, I mean, reliable enough. Like we know when a hurricane's coming, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like we know to prepare and stuff. And isn't there something like that satellites can do if there's a solar flare, some kind of safe mode they can put themselves in? I thought I heard, and this is probably just trying to understand it as a layperson, but I thought that I had heard that if an electronic device is powered down and not like plugged into anything, then it can survive a solar flare.
A typical solar flare, yes, but if it gets above a certain threshold, it would act like electromagnetic field bomb, like the same thing with like an atomic bomb, where it would just blow resistors, blow everything. Anything in space would be completely damaged by that.
Yeah, Kyle kind of actually just commented what I was gonna say was the International Space Station. Well, his comment was how fast could they evacuate the International Space Station? That would be my guess, because they're kind of stuck. They, you know what I mean? They
Well,
can't really evacuate.
they are
fast.
trained. They train in those emergency evacuation possibilities. Like they always have enough spacecraft on board. Right now, the only thing is the Soyuz, but they have enough to get whoever's on board back home.
Yes, and it would take them a total of about 6 hours to get everyone in, evacuated, and on the ground.
Right. I think they could get in there and powered up and get away from the space station fairly quickly, but they got to get down before before the spacecraft loses power, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They would have to be already parachuted before that would happen.
Right. And you still have that one last poof that you need right before you touch down. So you got to be down. And if you're in a Dragon, you're going to splash down, but then is the boat going to still work to get out to pick you up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dangerous business, man, especially when you're talking about people. Like, satellites, it might seem like, okay, well, that would be a bad thing to happen, but man, if
Satellite, it's replaceable.
yeah,
People aren't.
people
right?
are not.
Yeah.
That's a true story. And another big thing they're studying on this mission is they're going to be looking at what exactly causes this 11-year cycle that we know the sun follows.
Right.
This 11-year cycle. So they're trying to determine, okay, so what exactly causes this 11-year cycle? Why is it 11 years and not 12 years or 15 years
Right.
or 29 years?
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
An interesting note that probably a lot of people didn't know about the Solar Orbiter is this is actually a mission that's been 20 years in the making as well, which I thought was really cool. 20 years in the making to make this happen.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the ESA has a lot of, they have background in that. They've done all the major solar missions that have been done up through this point have all been done by ESA or ESA nations. So they have a background that they're building on by really developing the solar orbiter to just extend that knowledge out.
And I think I saw where there's going to possibly be like a joint observation or something between Parker and Solar Orbiter. Like they're going to,
Yes.
once they get going. Yeah. What do you got? What do you know?
Well, the thing
I
is
know I saw that.
The Parker doesn't have cameras,
Okay.
right?
Right.
That's just taking in the data. So I think it's going to have. Aren't they supposed to communicate with each other from images that the solar orbiter is going to take with the Parker probe?
And actually give it more context. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I'm not 100%, but I think that's what they're lining up. I thought I saw that somewhere. Hold on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
'cause-
it would make sense if you have data coming from two places at the same time and you can
Right.
line that data up, you'll have even more of a proliferation of data that you can say, okay, mark this time and mark this time. These things line up, and this is
Yes.
exactly what we saw here when it was happening over here.
I found it. It's the mission facts in ESA. That's where I read it.
Okay.
Solar Orbiter will provide context information for the Parker Solar Probe, which collects data even closer to the sun, but doesn't have the sun pointing cameras.
Right. Yeah, because Parker's
there it
much
is.
closer than Solar Orbiter's
Oh,
ever
yeah.
going to get, right?
yeah. Oh yeah. That's why they have the big old heat shield on that bad boy.
Yeah.
And Solar Orbiter
I mean-
has a pretty heavy duty heat shield too, but
Oh, yeah.
not quite as hefty.
Not quite as hefty. Solar Orbiter is going to come to it's like what 0.28 astronomical units, which is actually closer than Mercury.
Right.
And I did the calculation earlier when I wrote the article, so forgive me for 2 seconds to find that.
I think I saw
data.
that it's like just over a quarter of the distance that Earth is.
Yeah,
right?
just over an astronomical unit is the distance to the Earth. That's 92 million miles, and it's going to be at its closest approach every 5 months. It'll be at 26 million miles away from the sun.
Holy smokes.
That's close.
That's fiery.
It is incredible that we could build something that can survive that close, you know?
That's
Yeah.
amazing. It is amazing that we can do that.
But then at its farthest point from the sun, it's going to be orbiting at almost all the way out here where we are. It's going to be at 0.9 AU, which is 83.6 million miles.
Right. And if you're watching this animation, viewers, it does look it makes it kind of look like it goes out past the Earth, but what that is where the orbit is tilted. So it's a perspective thing. It's actually below the Earth's plane at that point, and so it looks like it's going out past the Earth, but it's not. It's actually closer.
And they've designed the orbit in such a way that it's going to be at its closest, it's always going to be at the same region of the sun. So it's going to get all that data from the same exact region of the sun when it's at its closest.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. So even as the sun is rotating, it's still going to be basically the same size. I mean, the sun's it's like a liquid, really, right? Like not even. I think I've heard that like at different latitudes, the sun rotates at different speeds, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the way they've designed it. They're trying to get information on the same region every time they make that closest approach.
Okay, that's really interesting. Huh.
And and this is going to be in orbit around the sun. Sorry, how long is the orbit in total again?
It's a 5-month orbital period.
It's a 5-month orbit. Okay, so every 5 months we'll be closest to the sun, and 5 months we'll be away from us. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And what's crazy, man, orbital stuff always blows my mind that they can plan these gravity assists and stuff, you know, and I'm looking, there's a different animation when you scroll down on this page, and it's showing these assists that go out, let's see, like December 24th of 2026, March 17th of 2028, there's a gravity assist by Venus. June 10th of 2029, another gravity assist by Venus. Like, that's so far out, man.
Absolutely. And it's the same supercomputers that plan like the Grand Voyage, the Voyager probes.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Which
It takes a lot of supercomputing power.
reminds me, they got Voyager 2 back and working. Is it which one was it that was kind of pooching
Voyager
out there?
2.
Voyager
2.
2.
Yes.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, they got that all fixed up because it shut down.
Went into safe mode or whatever.
Yeah, and that's all it did. All they needed to do is just I think they just sent it some reprogramming, and it was like, hey, yeah, okay, I'm back online.
It's like, ooh, got me some of that 2020 electronics.
But it takes. How long does it take to get a message out to Voyagers? 17 hours
Yeah.
or something
like
like that?
18 hours or something
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah.
So they had to wait another. Gosh, that would have been a
Could you
shift and a
imagine?
half.
Yeah.
What'd you do? I made a phone call. I'm waiting for the response. like holy smokes.
I'm gonna go take a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And how nervous are you when you send that command that all of your code is working? I mean, I guess they have simulators to run it on to make sure, but when you send that signal out, it's like, there it goes. Hope it's right.
Fingers crossed.
Yep.
Especially now, just really quick to continue with Voyager 2, is that still in the solar system heliosphere?
I think it's Voyager 2 that is actually ahead. No, Voyager 2 was launched first, but I think Voyager 1 is actually out farther. Matt, do you remember this?
Voyager 1's out farther. Voyager 2 launched first, but it's at an inclination, just like Solar Orbiter, to the ecliptic. So it's not traveling at the same as much speed. Plus, Voyager 1 actually had extra gravity assists to get further out. So 2 exited first, but 1 is further away because of the way the ecliptic is. They're actually both in the interstellar medium as of last time I looked.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to know.
Really far away.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
But if you want to say, okay, solar system, yeah, they're outside of the heliosphere, but the Oort cloud is still considered part of the solar system amongst a lot of people, and that's very, very, very far.
It's like
away.
a light year out, right? Isn't it like a light year, or is it? No,
Yeah,
maybe
it's
it's a
like
light year
almost a light year.
across. Is it a light year across, or is it a?
Yeah, it's like a light year across. It's very far away.
Very far.
We will be dead and gone before it actually gets past that stuff, and it will have stopped working well before then.
Right. Golden record, baby.
Yeah, that's just crazy to think something that we made as humans is that deep into space. And that, that's just crazy, man. It's really hard to wrap your mind around it if you really think about it. Like, because you already know, we're not gonna get into alien talk here, but there's other things out in the solar system. There's other things out that's ET does exist. I'm sure out there somewhere.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna be like, right, and they're gonna discover that probably later on and be like, yo, what's this?
I hope, man. I mean,
what's these images?
It's so small, but by the time it dies, like it won't be putting out any more signals and stuff. So at that point, it's like finding that is going to be very difficult. Like if it was still broadcasting, I think that maybe they could find it, but man, it's so tiny in the grand scheme of things.
But it's been set on a continuous broadcast too, hasn't it? So
yeah.
I mean, that broadcast is going somewhere, right? We don't know where, and we don't even know how far it's going to get out, too.
If they could pick up its signal, they could, I guess, triangulate where it was coming from, how fast it was going, and then figure out where it is, even though it's not broadcasting anymore. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the RTG on that has a half-life of 88 years, so.
And so we're reaching that, yeah, right?
Oh God, no! We're only at it was launched 40 years ago, so you're about halfway through
halfway
the lifespan of the power supply.
So maybe I don't understand what half-life is. Does half-life mean like that's when it dies, or that's halfway to being dead?
The plutonium that is in the RTG will be halfway depleted at 88 years.
Why don't they just call it life and call it 176 years?
Because people much smarter than me who get paid a lot more than I do make those decisions.
Right. We're done. We're done with Half-Life. No more Half-Life. We're going life now.
Okay. We can go back. We can go back to Solar Orbiter too. I mean Solar Orbiter 1, not 2.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right.
That'll be another 20 years till we have Solar Orbiter 2.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Oh, make it 10.
Let's see. I wanted to touch on this Starliner thing. I read through this article earlier, and basically it looks like there were worse problems than what we knew with Starliner on the launch.
Mhm.
There was some kind of a computer glitch where, had they not caught it in the middle of flight, like they said it was about 2 hours before
Return.
before reentry, and they caught this glitch that, had they not caught it, they would have had thrusters firing erroneously, and they would have lost the spacecraft.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
And-
the programming for separating the actual service module from the capsule itself there was a glitch in there that would have caused it not to separate. So it would have come down, here's service module, and here is capsule all in one, and that would have been very bad.
Yeah, that would have been very bad. They're doing a press conference on it tomorrow, and I can guarantee you that it's not going to be pretty.
Oh man. Well, I wonder how much they'll say. I mean, well, this stuff's out there. Eric Berger covered it. It's on Ars Technica. If you're watching or listening, I highly recommend going and checking out his article about this. Google Ars Technica and then Starliner. That's how I found it, like on the browser.
Yeah.
Or just look up Tom Cross, because he just shared it on his Twitter. That's
there will be questions. People are going to ask questions. They'll be like, "Hey, why'd you guys withhold this information from us?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, initially I can understand, but he says, actually, Eric Berger says in this article that when he spoke to Boeing initially, they downplayed this thing and said that it was something else, and when really it was this thing that was actually going to destroy the spacecraft.
right. I mean, when you're talking about launching astronauts and human life on that, it's kind of important to,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I understand Boeing's going through some rough times, and these these engineers, I don't know how the company is built, or who does what, but I doubt that these engineers have anything to do with 737 Max or whatever the name of the plane is, or any of the other aircraft stuff. But I feel for them, man. But they've got to get this right, and before, in fact, I wanted to bring up Starliner, last week or week before or something, just get kind of everybody's opinion. Like, if you were the one in charge, would you want them to fly that mission again, the uncrewed test flight?
Absolutely.
You would.
Well, they totally put a price on it last week, though.
Right. Yeah. Right. Oh, it's right here. Yeah.
An extra $410 million to launch it again.
Yep,
That they put aside.
Yeah. And at the time that I heard that, I was like, is that just kind of a PR move? Like, hey, just so y'all know, we're ready. We're ready to do it again if we have to, or and then, but knowing that they weren't actually going to have to. Before, I was like, yeah, you know what? A lot of things can be verified in testing and stuff. If they can, with politics aside and PR aside, if they can verify to the satisfaction of the engineers, not just in Boeing, but also with NASA and, outside, whoever they can bring in, and satisfy them that it's okay to go with crew, because there was that thing where, had astronauts been on board, they could have saved that mission and stuff. But if they hadn't caught this glitch, then the astronauts could have been dead. They may have made it to the space station, sure. But on the way back, it's like somebody was looking through there and just found the right thing. And, I don't know what they're looking at on their screens or whatever. Maybe anybody working there could have caught this and it never would have happened. But man, that is you don't want to play that game.
No, and browsing, like you just said, browsing through this article, it was like they stumbled upon this, software concern. Like, how, like, somebody was unsure of something before they sent it up. I bet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That somebody was not. It was just like, but they didn't effing speak up, and that's what people need to do more. That's one thing that I learned in safety. Because I was a safety officer for almost 10 years in construction. That's the one thing that people don't do, is they need to these days, is speak up, stop, and think. Yeah. It's like, okay, guys, no, shut it down.
Think about how much is on the line if you don't say something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, if you don't say something, you run into the Challenger.
Right. Exactly. But people are afraid to get in trouble. That's why they don't. That's why they don't say anything.
And even with
You
the
know?
Challenger disaster, somebody did speak up. Some of the engineers refused to sign the go-ahead papers to do it, and then their
Right.
managers signed in their place. But they spoke up, and it doesn't have to be on their shoulders. There was a bureaucracy that was over them, and there was nothing they can do. And I hope that Boeing is not structured that way. That if their engineers, I mean, there used to be this thing that we would hear about in the SpaceX subreddit that like before launches, Elon would always email the whole team and be like, if there's anything that you're not feeling good about, let me or your supervisor know, and you're not going to be punished for pointing this out, because we want
Right.
to know if there's anything you're unsure about.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that that's common in aerospace. Like ULA would have to do something like that because they're so good. They have a perfect record.
Yeah.
Since
Tori would have a field day.
oh man,
Yeah.
yeah. Since the founding of ULA, I mean, it's not like an Atlas has never blown up or a Delta's never blown up, but since the founding of ULA, they have been flawless. And I have to assume that they have a similar kind of structure. Like if you have any problem at all, and we've seen them delay, and scrub and all this stuff, and
Yep.
that is a-okay. It's always a bummer on the day that it happens, but you know why. And I think that Boeing, even though it's kind of weird because Boeing is a part of ULA, I don't know how much crossover there is, but
Well, it was like what, 50 Boeing, 50 Lockheed, right?
right, yeah, because Atlas was a Lockheed product, and then
Right.
Delta was a Boeing product.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, see, that's why I say this is because somebody didn't speak up, but whoever figured this out was obviously this was before. I would bet, not my life, but I would bet a lot of money that somebody thought something was wrong before they even launched the capsule,
bet you're
because
right.
Yep.
you know what, and it was just like, oh crap, okay, you know what, we're coming back in. Let me fix something really quick here, guys. Hold on, you got to get some updates up there.
All right.
Like at least they figured it out, and they had a decent landing and stuff like that, which is good. But a lot of things could have been avoided in the first place. And I also agree with what Patricia Sanders says down at the bottom, that the potential for this systemic issues at Boeing, that also note that NASA has decided to proceed with an organizational safety assessment with Boeing as they previously conducted with SpaceX. I think that's great, because one thing is that SpaceX is now getting, or somebody else is getting fair treatment that SpaceX has been like getting drilled with.
Right. And I thought that they were doing that with both. When the whole Elon smoking weed thing, I thought that they were supposed to be doing it with both of them.
I know. That's what I thought too. And I asked somebody at who was it I spoke to at Sands? I asked this. I was at the Air Museum. Julia, loving Julia Bergeron. She wasn't there that day, but somebody else was, a very knowledgeable person. I can't remember his name. But I asked. I was like, so how do the contracts actually work? And he's like, it's different for everybody. I says, I said, are you serious? He's like, different with everybody except the Air Force. Air Force always has their own standards, and that's what it is. NASA, they have a different contract and different regulations for Boeing. They have a different one for Lockheed. They have a different one for SpaceX. And that's why Orion's still sitting there. It's like basically ready, which is really cool.
Yeah, I've met some of the people because I deliver pizza to some cool people sometimes, and I've met some people that work on Orion. I'm like, man, it always, like SLS, politics, all that stuff aside, it's all, if I meet a person that works on any of these things, I'm like, man, I'm looking forward to see you guys fly. And I'm like, how you doing? It's like, man, we're getting really close, man. We're basically ready, and like, I'm like, you're just waiting on your rocket, aren't you? Like, yeah.
Waiting on the rocket. Yeah. And that's the thing. And what's the rocket being built by?
Boeing, mostly. Yeah, the core is. Yeah.
Right? So hopefully they've got their software concerns all jittered out now.
We'll find out. They're about to do a green run this year. It's June or July. They're doing their full duration green run. They're calling it, but it's a full duration static fire is essentially what it is, and that's going to be really cool to see. I know they'll put out footage. Hopefully they stream it live. I would think that they would. I think Jim Bridenstine is really keen on the the live streaming and stuff, the transparency. I mean, it's painful when that transparency means that we all just saw Starliner fail, but yeah, I think we'll get to see that green run live.
You know what? We don't know until, I guess till tomorrow. Did Jim know about this? Did any, like, the Starliner thing? Did anybody but Boeing know about this? They might have held back.
Right. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
So a really funny story about the Orion is, so besides doing everything that I do, I run a really large, the largest father-only community on social media. So one of the members had posted about I don't know if you guys saw the Falcon 9 booster that was going down the road,
Yeah.
and we had posted that. So I ended up reaching out to him, was like, hey, is it okay if I share this and whatnot? Coming to find out, that guy, he works on the Orion capsule. Shared a lot of really great pictures with me. Also, another plot twist, come to find out, his father is Sam Durrance. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me, man.
For y'all.
Yeah, the astronaut.
I didn't know when he first told me the name.
Sam
I'm
Durrance.
ashamed, but I don't know every astronaut's name. But
Yeah, Sam Durrance. His father was Sam Durrance. And I was like, nah, sure enough, he ended up sharing a picture with him and his dad at his graduation. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, man. I was like, I got the video of my son asking Sam a question. He was like, how do astronauts float in space or whatever? And I got the whole thing. I was just like, dude, that is awesome, man. But yeah. So he works on the Orion. And he showed me some pretty cool pictures, man. Yeah, it's like, yeah, they're going to be ready for that to go here pretty soon. So
Nice.
yeah,
nice little tidbit there.
I am super. I mean, in the past I have not like publicly. I've only had this podcast for a few months, but I have criticized SLS. It's too expensive, and other rockets could do it just as well. But I've learned, in the past year or so that there's some things that SLS is going to be capable of that other rockets just aren't. Now that may change when Starship starts flying for real. But I'm super anxious to see it fly. Like, I can't wait. It'll be the closest thing I've ever been to seeing a shuttle fly, as far as just the raw power, because it's going to essentially be the same thing with one extra shuttle engine. So it's going to be 4 shuttle main engines and then the 2 solids, which are a little longer, but I'd say their power output at any given time is about the same.
Yeah, it's the same power output.
Okay.
It'd be really cool to go over there and see that hop, man. Oh, man, it would be really cool to go over there and see that.
Oh, in Boca?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
That'd
speaking
be
of
so
Boca,
cool.
yeah, that's a good...
20. Yeah, we're waiting for the FCC approval for the 20-kilometer hop.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys have Elon on Twitter notifications, but apparently he's talking about Starship right now. It looks like.
Is he now? I do have
it
him.
Looks like it. I just, it's just telling me that he's tweeting, and I see things like SN1 and SN2 and things like that. So as soon as we're done, I'll definitely be digging into that. And I mean, actually, here's a good little tidbit for anybody out there that doesn't want to have to dig through Twitter to get information. Almost always, it's pretty safe to say always, after a quote tweet storm by Elon, if you surf on over to the SpaceX subreddit, someone will put like a bullet point thing of everything he said. If there was interesting questions asked, they'll put the question, his response, and they'll put it all in there in a nice little package, and it's all right there, so you can just read it all without having to thumb through Twitter, because Twitter's not very conducive to following a thread, even though they call them threads. It's like you'll have one tweet and then it'll have like 15 comments on it, and it'll only show you some of them, and only the top ones. So people always go through and they find all the interesting tidbits and they put them right there on the SpaceX subreddit. So go to the SpaceX subreddit, filter by new, so that the new stuff will be at the top. It might not be the most upvoted thing that day, so you want to filter to new, put the newest stuff at the top. To be able to read all the stuff Elon said. You might have to wait an hour or so for someone to do it, but that's what I always do. If I miss a tweet storm, it's like, go there.
I'll just check that out later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like right now. Like by the time we're done, I bet they're probably already doing it. They're probably already gathering all the tweets and putting them into a nice little package over there. But speaking of Starship, there was a job fair today.
There was.
Yeah.
There
Did you think about going out there?
You know what? I was thinking of just tweeting Elon to like fly me out there.
Like, dude, I can't.
I really want to go, but
They will do that for you, by the way.
They will.
Oh yeah, when I had my interview with SpaceX, they
What?
flew me out there.
But this is like a job fair, like kind of a cattle call thing, you know? Like I don't know if they do that for individuals.
Not for a job fair,
In
but
fact-
definitely if you're interviewing with them, they pay for your flight and
Right.
they rent you a car and all that jazz.
Oh, that's great.
I wonder if they were thinking like, hey, why don't we have a job fair at Boca Chica so only the most dedicated will come, and then so you've already passed through that gate. You made it. You put your ass in a car and drove all the way to Boca Chica, which I don't care where you live, unless you live there. It's a long drive.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
Did you go to their application page?
No, did you? What is there something cool there?
I went to the application page that they posted. It's
What
your
can you
name.
give me the address so I can pull it up?
Hold on here. Where
Or
was
something
it?
to Google.
Let me find it.
Or actually,
No, I gotta-
here, share it into the chat if you can.
Gotta find it. Hold on. It was SpaceX is launching. No,
Wait, let's see.
small sat. No. So I'm
Job
trying to find the tweet
fair,
because it was a
Boca.
tweet that they put out. And
Uh,
they,
So while they're
SpaceX
doing
job
all,
fair.
so while they're looking for all of that,
yes.
Gene was actually, if you guys have watched the show in the past, we've had Espaj right here on the show before. He was actually there. He was. What did he say? He said that he was like the second person in line. The second
yeah, that's
person in
right.
line.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was the second person in line. Fun story. They are doing this huge job fair, right? Everybody's just thinking, okay, we're gonna apply for this job. Elon ended up being there.
Yeah,
He did.
Elon was there with a mariachi band.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yes.
He loves the mariachi bands, man.
Surprised he didn't have his new mixtape that he just dropped out playing.
So I just went on the first thing that it was a Business Insider article. They have a link at the bottom for like a complete listing of the positions over there, but it's not.
Nope. It was the my bad. I mixed them up. It was Tesla.
Oh, whoops.
It was the Tesla AI. It was the Tesla AI.
Yeah, I remember seeing that tweet too.
Yeah, for their AI thing, and all it was basically you put your full name, your email, and the only question they have is, "What extraordinary things have you done?"
There you go.
That's it.
Yep.
Sorry for the confusion.
No, it's all good.
They said, it's Elon.
Yeah, because
So-
they put out to just email, like if you plan on attending, send us an email, and that's it. And
Yeah, I know.
and
Yeah.
I'm showing the video that Gene from Space Padre got, and it's just cars lining the road, man. It's so many people that came. That's crazy. I don't know if any other company on the planet could draw that much attention for a job, Like they have job fairs where multiple companies go and solicit for, new applicants, but to have one company be like, "Hey, do you want to work on this thing? Come here on this day and we'll give you a shot. We'll interview you or whatever."
Yeah, he said he didn't even care if you had graduated from high school. He would hire you if you had the right skill set.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's how you get stuff done right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you are just an exceptional welder, but you never trained for it, you just like maybe you came up and your dad taught you or something,
Right.
that would you're good. If you're good, it doesn't matter. Let's see. I did want to touch on the guy that got the Dragon parachutes. So I don't know if you guys have seen this video because I feel like actually I could look right there. He posted it on the 4th.
There he is.
There he is. A
Hi,
proud
this is
papa.
Captain David Stokes. Went out, got invited by.
And I'm pretty sure he just started this YouTube channel after this. It's the only video he's got on his YouTube channel.
At the end of the day, we got to catch up our
14,000 views.
We were putting the baits
Yep.
out and caught a wahoo right off the bat.
I mean, it's pretty awesome. You know, we were all wishing we could find pieces. You know, I had already declared I would definitely call the number that, thankfully, Emery Kelly tweeted out. Like, this is what you do if you find anything.
Jeez, man, look at that.
It's huge, man. Because I remember seeing that picture, or it was a quick video of it just like laying in his driveway. And
Yeah.
it's hard to tell size, but man, that door is massive.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was no scale to compare, but now that you see him holding it, it's just like wow.
Yeah.
And that thing weighs a couple $100. So.
I'm
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, so there ain't no easy way to mount that.
Well, yeah. Hopefully he's not foolish. You know, I mean, we were talking before the show, you know, about I wonder if SpaceX has contacted him, and I think that there's almost no chance that they haven't.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe for some reason they don't care to get it back, but it just really seems like they would. You know?
No, they'll get it back from him, and whether they have to pay him for it or whether they give him some kind of a primo deal or.
I'm pretty sure
something like that.
My understanding is that any rocket bits that wash ashore are still the property of the company that launched it.
Yep.
Yes, that
Sure.
is absolutely true per space law, actually, the Outer Space Treaty of 1967.
Right. Okay, so they don't have to buy it back from the sky. They just say
No,
that
they
is
don't.
ours.
But
Yeah.
most companies are very, especially people who do things in the ocean, they want to get their stuff back, so they are willing to give you some kind of reward. I know.
I guess there is some work involved in pulling it out of the water and bringing it.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
back to shore.
absolutely.
Finder's fee.
When I was stationed on the submarine, we would fire test torpedoes at targets out in the ocean because every torpedo, before it becomes an active torpedo, has to be fired a certain number of times as a test torpedo. And they have a big phone number printed on the side of them. And they're like, there is a cash reward for calling this number and turning this thing in.
Oh, okay. All right,
Whoa.
that makes sense. Well, let's go looking
be
for
wild.
torpedoes, guys.
Yeah.
We just make a living doing that. We
There
don't
you
have
go.
to ask off for another launch ever. You just go out there and look for torpedoes.
That's it.
And the great part is they're bright orange.
Oh,
if they're
really?
a test
Oh, so they're
torpedo,
actually easy
yeah.
to find.
There you
That's
go.
what
Oh,
all
yeah.
those guys out there with the metal detectors, that's what they're looking for.
Mhm.
They're looking for buried torpedoes.
There's so much stuff that washes up on the shores of the coast of Florida. It's unbelievable.
It's
Oh,
crazy.
man. Okay. This is totally not something I planned on talking about, but there is this Twitter account called UFO Sightings and News that every once in a while I will be mentioned by. And it's these bunk articles that I don't know why they're tagging me in them. I think
What?
on one time I clicked to the article and a photo of mine had been used in there, or a tweet of mine that was used in the article. And I'll respond to them, why am I being tagged in this? And I never get a response from them.
Man, they must have heard us talking about Voyager 2 and want to know about the aliens trying to get the record.
Oh man, well,
I want to hear some of that Chuck Berry.
That DJ and alien.
I want to hear some elephant sounds as well.
oh yeah, well you gotta wait for Becca to get back.
That was a cop on a comment earlier on the messenger.
Oh wow, okay. Hey, somebody in chat is actually someone that I met on Omegle.
Mylon,
It has to
gaming.
be.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah. Said, hey, it's nice to see you again. We had that 2-hour chat last night. Okay, well, that was awesome. That was late night. Sometimes I don't remember him that well. But yeah, hey, thanks for watching. But with that, does anybody have anything else that they wanted to touch on before we roll out? John, especially, if you got anything you want to plug. I know we talked about your Twitch. Say your Twitch again.
Hey, twitch.tv/Jon Van Horne, JONVANHORNE. Or, of course, I'm going to probably be moving over to YouTube more because that seems more of the space community people is the YouTube.
And everybody has YouTube. The only thing is
And
like
everybody
Twitch is made for gaming. I understand, but it's like everybody's got YouTube.
And they're trying their darndest to branch off into creative, into chat, into like newscasts. I don't think it's going to work for them. I think they should have just stuck with the gaming thing. Actually, like, I mean, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try to push it, but what? Oh, sorry. I know you like watching the creative one. Sorry, Crystal is. I said they're trying to branch out. I didn't say I didn't like it. I said they've been trying to branch out. They branch out to creative. They do graphics. They do. There's people that do Adobe Illustrator and do all that stuff. And,
I mean, the only time I ever streamed up until I started this show was I streamed myself building the Lego lunar lander on Twitch.
Oh, nice.
And people watch that, and people watch that, and that's great. And I don't know. So if soon the YouTube of mine would be, well, of course, it's The Real Jon VH on YouTube as well. I did want to touch on one last thing.
Go for it, man. We're not on a time limit.
All right, fair enough. So, night launches and streak shot photography.
Yes.
Yes.
Love it.
It's an itch, eh?
Yeah.
It's like when you get that. Oh, it's a night launch. Oh, where do I want to go this time?
Right.
What do I want to do this time? What type of foreground do I want? It's a lot of things to do. I'm trying now. I'm going to be trying to do night video.
Okay.
It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing is, I've got my P600. I don't know how that's going to turn out in night. It's probably going to be very grainy. But I do have my GoPro, which, of course, they don't let you set up remotes for the socials, do they?
No, not if it's NASA social. ULA did let us do it, but not NASA social. Definitely not NASA social.
I didn't think so.
Yeah,
anyway, so
NASA payload.
That's what it is. Okay. But anyway, I wanted to touch launch photography. How do you guys? I always go to random spots that usually people have already done because I've recently just got back into photography as alone from back in high school to just after high school. So I'm still trying to capture certain aspects that people have already done just to see, okay, can I do that?
Yeah, for sure.
Just to get comfortable with your own stuff. And stuff
I totally agree. See what's
Yeah.
possible and then see if you understand how it was done. Yeah, for sure.
All right,
Yes.
exactly.
So and that's what I've been moving along towards, especially in my photography. It's like, ooh, that's a nice streak shot with the reflection of the water. Let's try that. Let's try the dock shot. Let's try. We did the lifeguard hut on for the Starlink launch, which was amazing. That was
You should try illuminating your foreground. Sometimes that works really well.
See, I still haven't got comfortable enough to know the actual timing of it.
But here's what I do. I'll give you my secrets. So this light that I'm using right here, it's just a constant on light. If I'm doing a streak shot, I'll always bring that with me just in case. And when I'm doing my test shots beforehand, once I've got it where I know I'm not going to move the camera again, then I'll take it and I'll do some test shots and just kind of pan that light around and then just do it in short bursts and then turn it off real quick and see if I've got too much light, not enough light. Try to get something that's kind of in the middle because you can stack it the same way that you stack stars, right? Do you know how to do the star stacking? Same thing. You put the two layers on top of each other in Photoshop. You change the blend mode on the top layer to lighten, and then it will make it where only the light parts are visible, right? And then if it's too bright in the final image, you can always take that opacity down, right? And that will dim that light. So you need to get your light where it's kind of in a nice little medium spot where it's as bright as you could ever possibly want it to be, but you still have that option to bring it down.
Yes.
So that's a different layer. It's a composite. Almost every streak shot I do is a composite, especially, obviously whenever I do the star streaks, that's like a couple hours worth of just shooting the stars and then finally the launch. But if I'm illuminating my foreground, that is, taken before the launch. And because I don't want to take that chance either, ruining the shot by, having the light up too long and then overexposing my foreground. I want to, give myself options, and then you'll have multiple frames of the illuminated foreground, and then afterwards you got all the time in the world to mess with it,
There you
and
go.
you're not
Yeah.
doing anything that's like dishonest or anything. It's a composite that was taken at the same time as the launch. It's just a stack. Like I wouldn't want to go like the day before and get something from this spot and something from over there and try to incorporate them into the same image. It's all like the camera's in the same spot. It hasn't moved. The launch is a couple hours from now, but I went ahead and grabbed some shots beforehand so that I can use those in the final composite.
Yeah. Before it's funny you mentioned the composite, because we actually used to do that. Well, when I was in high school and did photography, we had a black room and dark room and worked with film and mixed the film and the chemicals, did the whole blindfold in the bag, anyway, we used to stack frames because you could stack frames as well and then put it in underneath the light, and you could make your own composites just with film. And this was like when Photoshop, I think 1.4 was out at the time or whatever. Like barely anybody knew what it was or how it was done. So but yeah, no, I understand. I understand stacking is definitely a key factor in a lot of the shots. That's what I had to do with my last Starlink from the beach. It was 68 pictures.
Oh, right.
Because I had to take on my GoPro, because my GoPro is only set at a 2.8 f-stop. I can't change that whatsoever.
Oh man.
So
that's wide.
Yeah. So I had to take 68 5-second photos to get the streak, so it wasn't washed out from that initial blast.
And there were no breaks in the streak?
There was, and I had to Photoshop to, I used a little sponge tool to kind of soften it up and go along it, and it worked out good. Though, that was the only real editing I did other than stacking the pictures. But
and then I feel like if you ever have to do something like that, just say it. You know what I mean? Like this is a composite that I had to doctor to make it work or whatever, but nobody's going to beat you up because you tried to make the photo look better,
Oh, no,
we're all learning, we're all just trying to improve our craft really,
Yeah, no, for sure. But going forward this year, you'll probably see a lot more video because I need to up my game in the video aspect of things. So, but that's the last note from me. But thank you very much for those tips.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, y'all get out there. I mean, I'm definitely open to sharing like how stuff's done. I am not a pro. I still look up to all of those guys on the bus, and they're. I see some of the stuff they come out with and I'm like, oh, wow, how could I do that? But I have learned some things along the way and I've befriended some of them. John Krause has given me endless tips, like I've reached out to him so many times in the past, like just, what kind of tripod do you use? Stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's been really forthcoming, and guys like Nathan Barker, really cool guys that, they've helped me out and, so I've learned things, and I'm definitely more than willing to pass them on to other people because, in my perspective is that the photography, while, there's that thing where it would be nice if we could all do it full time, but really the goal is to make a really cool image that people want to look at and then maybe want to get more interested in. What is that? What is that image of? What am I looking at here? So, possibly to draw them in, because if you break it down, we need more people that are interested in space so that like NASA and the space industry as a whole can grow and accomplish more, because in the future, and we want to bring that future closer to the now, we're going to have people living and working in space, but you need the people, the populace behind that, and not thinking we're wasting our times when we have problems here on the ground and stuff. And like a lot of these problems could be solved if we had more space travel.
For sure.
Absolutely. Public support's number one because public support's where the money comes from.
That's right.
Yep, that's it. Getting awareness of the programs.
And those are the two questions I get most of all is one, where did you take that? And two, what is it?
What is that?
Yeah. That's it. And it's great when I get those questions. I'm just like, hey, I was here on Cocoa Beach, or,
Right.
Now, I will say on Sunday, being on the social, John, you'll be within 3 miles, so you'll be able to get some really great video. I won't be on the press side on Sunday. I'll tell you that right now. I have a shot in mind. We're talking about photography.
Yes.
I have a shot in mind that I'm going to do, and I'm going for it. So
He's been itching to get this shot done.
I've been itching, man. I've purchased items to make this shot happen. So.
That's the thing. Crystal and I may not actually go on site for the launch for this one either, because we have a shot in mind as well.
Man, the people that are coming from out of town must think y'all are insane. They're like, what do you mean you're not going to go watch from as close as you could possibly be? Like, well, that is one of the benefits of living close by, is that we have so many opportunities to watch these things launch that we do have that ability to say, well, I have this thing in mind and I want to try to do it, and I'll save the close up experience for next time. Like the last Starlink launch was the first one I watched from the press site for quite a few launches, actually, for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 launches. I think I hadn't been out there, and it is exciting. There's nothing like it. But when in photography, it's like you got that itch, and you have that shot that you want to get, and you want to see if you can make it work, and you just got to make it happen.
Yeah, because there's only certain places that you can go on with media and even the socials and stuff like that. Like they're set spots. They're just like, okay, and everybody is getting that same shot. You're either on top. Yeah, you're either on top of the VAB. You're sitting 2 feet away from the other remote camera that the other guy just set up. Like it's all very, which is great, because one thing is, especially for newer intermediate photographers or even advanced photographers, it gives them that. It gives them that testing ability. It's just like, oh, okay, like I didn't get it this time, maybe I can get it this time or whatever, which is awesome. But you're absolutely, there's always that, I want something else now.
And anybody that's traveling here, if you happen to stumble across this little show, if you're coming here and you're in the NASA social, or in the future if you're ever in one, and if you don't get this opportunity very often, definitely do the press site. Go out there and get as close as you possibly can, because nothing compares to being that close. But when you've done it, it's not like it got old and we don't want to be close. I wish I could get the best shot, the thing the picture that's in my mind. I wish I could get that from the press site, but you don't have as many options at the press site. There's lots of other options when you go off site, and you can go anywhere up and down the coast for like 20, 30, 40 miles. There's lots of places that you can go and get different types of shots. And so that's why we do that.
And they can all turn out great. They can all be really good shots regardless. But I love the rumble.
Yeah. I usually stay close enough to feel the rumble for sure. I don't usually go more than, 15 miles. Let's see, what am I, like, if it's a 39A launch, I think I live about 15 miles from it. And I don't usually go much further than that. I'll go somewhere on the mainland or something, somewhere within that radius. I want to be close. But yeah, that's why we do it. Don't take this as it's not worth it to get close, because it's definitely worth it to get close.
Yeah,
you feel that crackle. Like when you're far away, when you're like 10, 15 miles away, you feel the rumble, but there's something else that you hear when you're like 2.5, 3 miles away that you can't hear when you're further away. It's this crackle, this popcorn, this weird, like, it's like it's
popping.
It
pops.
It's like, I don't know if it is like little tiny sonic booms or or what, but that's kind of what they sound like. It's like little pops that are coming through the rumble. It's very unique. So if you ever get that chance, do it. And you can get that from just you don't have to be in a social. You can go to the Apollo Center and get that.
It's
Max
like
Brewer Bridge.
Where?
Max Brewer Bridge.
Max Brewer is about 10 or
4
11
miles.
miles. Oh, is it 12?
I
Yeah.
thought it was 4 miles.
about 12.
Not
Really?
Yeah. It's a little further than you might think from 39A, and then, well, 39A is not the northernmost pad, but it's the second to northernmost pad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes they have Playa Linda open for it, which is
Playa Linda's
gorgeous.
quite a bit
which
closer.
is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah. Playa Linda's like what, 3 or 4 miles from 39A.
I think it was 3.4
There you
is the
go.
closest you can get to it, Playa
Okay.
Linda.
Yeah, so that's a good one there. Yeah, so you don't have to be in one of these socials to get this close. So if you ever come down here for a launch and you're not from here, get as close as you can. Go for the streak shot. You're gonna need a wide angle because you're gonna be close, but definitely be close. That's what I'll say about that.
Absolutely.
And with that, typically Kegel plays a little sound out, but we ain't got it. So thanks everybody for the show. Thanks John for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. We'll have you on again, man. This has actually been a really good conversation, man. I've really enjoyed this. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do it again for sure. All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks y'all for being in chat. Forgot to read your comment, Kyle. For most streaks, start out with an idea and find a spot where it could work. That's right. That's exactly how it works. All right. Peace out, y'all.
Good night.